What's up everyone, Guided by Jesus here bringing you another Clash Royale video, and with the face reveal coming soon, I would like to announce a Q&A as well. And so if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave them down in the comment section or on any of my social media. If you haven't added me on social media yet, you can find the links on the description or the information right there to the left side. You can see my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram information, guys. So make sure to add me there as well. I've also posted the link to add me as a friend in Clash Royale on Twitter, guys. So make sure to add me as a friend if you guys want to battle or watch any of my battles. Today, I want to share with you guys this deck that I've just made. And guys, it's been doing amazingly well for me in ladder. I'll explain to you guys some of the changes. As you guys can see, it's a graveyard with a giant. And I did remove the poison. If you watch some of my latest videos, I was using a graveyard deck with poison, which is what everyone knows in the current meta. But I actually made a few changes, and I'll explain to you guys why I added arrows and zap instead, guys. So as you guys are going to be able to see right here, this is going to be my activity log, which is going to show exactly how my last games have been. As you guys can see, we've been winning for the most part. I believe after I started using this deck, I had about 8 or 9 games. I won like 7 of them, lost only 1, and tied 1 game. And as you guys are going to be able to see here, I've played against a variety of decks. To the most part, my opponents had much higher level cards than me, and I mostly versed level 12s where I'm at in the ladder, guys. So I'm gonna show you guys 3 different replays today against 3 different decks that are very common in ladder. And 2 of these decks are decks that we just normally really hate to face because they're just so strong in ladder, guys. And for the most part, people just have them so over leveled. So as you guys can see, this is the activity log. That is the only one I lost right there, which you guys can see it's against a level 7 golem. A level 12 player with a level 7 golem. So yeah, that's pretty hard matchup right there. Considering I'm a level 11, I'm a free-to-play player. As you guys can see, the card levels that I have aren't that over-leveled at all compared to my opponents. And there you guys can see, facing off a max level Royal Giant. We did win against the Golem deck right there, but this time he had a level 6 Golem, which does help. But he did have maxed out Minion Horde, maxed out Elite Barbarians, and maxed out Barbarians. So the first replay I want to share with you guys is going to be of a Royal Giant deck. Like I said, his Royal Giant is maxed out. He also has Barbarians, which could be really strong against the Giant. That could really shut down a Giant deck, guys. But I'm going to show you guys how I played in order to get the win against this guy. Keep in mind that, like I said, I've only played about 9 games with this deck. Won 7, tied 1, and lost 1. So that is an impressive record, I would say, guys. Really, really impressive numbers for just having made this deck. So it's not like I mastered it already. So I just really wanted to share this with you guys. And over the course of these replays, I'm also going to share with you guys the details and reasons of why I swapped certain cards in the regular, giant graveyard deck. So as you guys can see, having the arrows came out really handy there. Because if I had a poison, the poison would have taken forever to take down those minions from the Minion Horde. I did level up my arrows to level 11. Before I made this deck, I only had a level 10. Level 11 arrows are going to guarantee that you're going to be able to kill even a maxed level minions or Minion Horde, guys. And that's huge. At least for where I am in the ladder, I'm constantly facing people with maxed out minions or Minion Hordes, so that's huge. Notice there I zapped the fire spirits so that way my bats and my skeletons could live for longer and take down that Royal Giant relatively fast, not allowing him to get too much damage off. So I'm going to use the baby dragon here to support the giant, which helped me taking down this minion horde. At this point, I want to save my arrows just because by the time I deployed them, the giant would have been pretty much dead anyway. and the baby dragon was gonna clean the minion horde, so there was just no point. I still did pretty good amount of damage, tying up the game there. Actually, you know, I wasn't the lead, but after my opponent used that fireball, he ended up pretty much tying up the game. I do have damage dealt to both of his towers though, so in case this becomes a 2-tower game, I will have the advantage. So look at those arrows, guys, doing really good work against his minion horde. I would have had way more of a hard time if I only had poison in that situation. And one of the reasons why I switched to arrows instead of poison is because oftentimes, at least in ladder, guys, and I haven't tried this deck yet in tournament standard, but at least in ladder it is a lot more common to see people use minions and minion hordes and maxed out minion hordes. So having arrows, in my opinion, is a huge thing. And you know, because we're able to clean out that minion horde that is just so commonly used in ladder, and it gives you a 2 elixir trade. And arrows act really fast too. Like, so when they use a minion horde on top of your giant or wherever else, or even to, you know, try to defend against your graveyard, the arrows are going to clean them up really fast, and so it's going to allow your giant or your graveyard to do damage. So that was game number 1. Game number 2, we're going to be playing against another level 12. So as you guys can see, we're level 11, going up against higher level players with higher level cards. This guy is playing a Hog Rider Spellbait deck. So unfortunately, his Musketeer didn't cross the bridge there to allow our tower to take it down, but that's okay. We'll take it down with the baby dragon. I placed the Night Witch there because I wanted the bats to spawn as soon as possible and hopefully try to distract the Inferno tower. Unfortunately, the bat was just a split second late, but that's okay. We still managed to get pushed through the Inferno tower with the baby dragon and dealt a little bit of damage to the tower. Now, I'm still getting used to this deck. If I'm not mistaken, this Hog Rider deck, this guy that I played against was probably either my first or second game, so I was still getting used to the rotation. Unfortunately, I allowed him to get 1 hit off on the tower, which is no big of a deal. I mean, his Hog Rider is a level 10 as well, which is a pretty high level for where we're at in the ladder, guys. Considering my tombstone is only a level 9, so him getting 1 hit is understandable. But we're gonna watch out for next time, try to not allow him to get a single hit at all. One thing I'm gonna cap on this game, and is one thing I recommend for you guys when playing a Hog Rider deck like this, is try to compound strong pushes, guys. As you guys can see, he is not going to have a way to compounding himself a really heavy push unless I make a mistake. But the way his deck is built, he shouldn't really be having very strong pushes, whereas I have heavier cards like the giant, and then if I, you know, pair it up with a graveyard, that should be a really heavy push. So here I use the Night Witch behind the giant once again. That's gonna be one of the best combos that you could do. And just look at that heavy push right there, guys. His Inferno tower was not able to take down our giant, and our graveyard was able to do work on that tower meanwhile. So we go ahead here and actually do a really bad job once again defending this. At this point, I'm just like, you know what? I wasn't sure whether or not he had the log in rotation, so I was just like, let me just start setting up for a push on the right side. He actually didn't have log in rotation. I could see it now on replay, but I couldn't really see it on, you know, live. Unfortunately, I was a little late there with the tombstone, and my Night Witch actually ended up going to the left side, which is not what I wanted. I placed her on the right. And check this out, guys. Even though we're so far behind here, this push is just so strong. Like I told you guys, it's what you're gonna want to do against Hog Rider decks. You want to compound a really strong push that they just can't stop. Backing up, supporting the giant with the Night Witch, putting that graveyard on the tower as soon as, you know, his tower is distracted by the giant, and that is just a really effective push. So that was one of our first games with that deck. We didn't play it as clean as possible, but considering that we played against a level 12 with high level troops, that was really good in my opinion. So not a good starting hand here. I normally like to save the Night Witch either to defend something that my opponent plays, that way I get more value from it, or behind the Giant, which allows, you know, the Night Witch to live for as long as possible, spawning the most bats, you know, possible, and giving it, you know, more value for the 4 elixir that I used. Unfortunately, since I didn't have a choice, I had to start with the Night Witch. So here we go. My opponent's at this moment, I had an idea that he might be playing Mortar, but he hadn't shown his Mortar yet. I played the Giant there because I had the Tombstone. He actually decided to play the Mortar defensively. So at this point, when I see the Mortar, guys, one thing is that in my mind I know is I'm gonna have to start saving my Giant to deploy the Giant to tank for those mortar shots. So right now, since I already had the Giant and since he played a defensive mortar, I went there on the offensive with a Graveyard. He does a really good job here at defending. That was a high value Ice Spirit. The placement on my Tombstone here, guys, is really good, but unfortunately he already had Knights on my side of the tower. So as you guys can see, the Knights do clean up the skeleton, which then allows his mortar to retarget to the tower. But I like to place the Tombstone like this because for the most part it should distract the mortar the whole way unless they fireball it or something like that. So since I didn't have Giant in cycle, that's one option that I had. But now I know that I have to play the Giant here to tank for the mortar. Since he saw that I had that, he just goes ahead and plays a defensive mortar. At this point, he might just be trying to secure a draw. Watch what I'm gonna do here. I just zap his archers. This way he doesn't really have a very good defense against the Graveyard. So now once again I'll deploy the Giant here to tank for the mortar shots. Thankfully we were able to do that just in time. The baby dragon should help here clear the archers, guys, and we're probably gonna go for a Graveyard push here considering he only has archers to defend. So we're going to take this tower here. Only 8 seconds left. Our tower has more than half HP, so that was a game that we pretty much had control the entire game, and he only did a little bit of damage because of, like I told you guys, the Tombstone placement that I had. Unfortunately, he already had a Knight on our side of the map and was able to kill those skeletons, allowing his mortar to take hits to the tower. So that's the deck, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys do well with this deck if you decide to try it out. I'm gonna go ahead and see how far up on ladder I can go with this deck. Later I might even try it on tournament standard to see how that does. Hopefully that does well as well, guys. So before we do go, I just wanted to explain to you guys the reason for adding Zap. I know I didn't touch on that throughout the video. I was too focused on explaining to you guys the decisions I was making and how to play the deck. But the reason why I chose the Zap instead of the Log, guys, is because of the simple fact that it's just a great card, and in my opinion it helps against Inferno Towers, Skeleton Army, Inferno Dragons, which are gonna be things that the opponents are probably gonna look for to use against your Giant. So if you keep that Giant alive, it's gonna allow the Night Witch that's coming from behind, the baby dragon, to do a lot more work. Also, when you use the Graveyard, if your opponent uses the Skeleton Army for defense, you'll be able to clean that Skeleton Army for a positive elixir trade. It will allow your Graveyard to do a lot more damage. You do so a lot more effectively and faster than a Log would. Most of the times the Log won't even reach the back of the tower. So the zap, you could place it wherever you want. It will also do a little reset and a small freeze on the tower. It will probably be a good option for against the Goblin Gang as well. A lot of times opponents use Goblin Gang on the back to defend against the graveyard. You will kill the spear goblins. You will leave the goblins really low health, allowing your skeletons to finish them off and getting back to attacking the tower. Regular goblins as well, etc. Guys, so in my opinion, it's just a better option. If you have your zap at a high enough level, you could probably also counter goblin barrels with the zap. I don't have my zap along a really high level because of the fact that I'm a free-to-play player. So I really have to save my gold and make sure that I'm using my gold on, you know, what matters to me the most. But the fact that this deck is a heavier deck, like you can make some really strong and compounded pushes with the giant night witch on the back graveyard, and then you still need, you know, some elixir to have those arrows or zap at hand to support these troops. It's you can have these heavy pushes. So for the most part, when people are using skeleton army or like goblin barrel, etc., they're doing more like chip damage. So if you allowed their, you know, goblin barrel to get 1 or 2, you know, chip hits on your tower, it should be okay, as long as you're able to also go back into offense with a really strong massive push that they're gonna have a hard time dealing with. So that's the explanation I have for adding zap instead of log, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to thank you very much for being a part of this family and supporting me. You know, I want to ask you guys to leave your comments, a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. Make sure to leave the questions for the Q&A, guys, and most importantly, subscribe for more Clash Royale content.